Hello friends and welcome to another tutorial on Geeks for Geeks. In this video, we are going to understand the program which connects node at same level using constant extra space. First, let us take an example. As you can see in this example, we have connected nodes B and C. Also, nodes D, E and F are connected. Now, let us see the algorithm which will assist us in connecting nodes at same level. Let us also have a sample tree to test our algorithm. We pass the root node to function connect. So, P will point to A, which is the root node. We have to make the next right node to point to the next right node in each level. Since P is not null, we make P's next right node null. Now we set next right of all levels one by one. Since P is not pointing to null, we enter the while loop. Now Q will point to P. Since Q is not null, we enter the inner while loop and check if Q has a left child. As node A has left child equal to node B, the if condition is satisfied and we further check if Q has a right child. As it is true, we make Q's left's next right point to Q's right. So, A's left, which is B, will point to A's right, which is C. Now, since Q's right is not null, we make Q's right's next right point to value returned by getNextRight Q. Hence, we call the getNextRight function with A passed. In the function getNextRight, P will point to A and temp will point to null, which is A's right. Since temp is pointing to null, we return null. Hence, Q's right's next right will point to null. So, C's right will point to null. Now, we set next right for other nodes in pre-order fashion. So, Q will point to Q's next right. Hence, Q will point to null, which is A's next right. Since Q is pointing to null, we come out of the inner while loop and now start from the first node of next level. We check if P has a left child. As it is true, we make P point to P's left. Hence, now P will point to B, which is A's left child. Since P is not null, we continue with the outer while loop. Now, Q will point to B. As Q is not null, we enter the inner while loop. Next, we check if Q has a left child. As B has a left child, which is D, we further check if B has a right child. As node B also has a right child, we make Q's left's next right point to Q's right. Hence, D's next right will point to E. Now, we check if B has a right child. As it is true, we make Q's right's next right point to value returned by getNextRight function. Hence, we pass B to getNextRight function. So, P will point to B. Next, we make temp point to P's next right. Hence, temp will point to C, which is B's next right. Since temp is not null, we enter the while loop. Now, we check if temp's left is not null. As C's left is null, we check if temp's right is not null. As C has a right child, which is F, we return C's right. So, we return F. Hence, in the connect function, Q's right next right will point to F. Now we make Q point to Q's next write. Hence Q will point to C. Since Q is not null, we continue with the inner while loop. We check if Q has a left child. As C does not have a left child, we omit the if statement and check if Q has a right child. As C has a right child which is F, we make C's next write point to value returned by getNextWrite function. So now we call the getNextWrite function with C passed. Now temp will point to C's next write. Hence temp will point to null which is next write of C. Since temp is pointing to null, we return null. Hence C's next write will point to null. So C's write which is F will point to null. We make Q point to Q's next write. Hence Q will point to null which is next write of C. As Q is null, we exit the inner while loop. We start from first node of next level. Hence we make P point to P's left. So P will point to D. As P is not null, we make Q point to P. Hence Q will point to D. Since Q is not null, we check if Q has a left child. As it does not have a left child, we check if it has a right child. As it is false, we make Q point to Q's next write. Hence Q will point to E. Since Q is not null, we continue with the outer while loop. Again, as E does not have a left and a right child, we make Q point to Q's right. Hence Q will point to F. Again, Q is not null, so we check if Q has a left or right child. As it does not have, we make Q point to Q's next write. Hence Q will point to null which is the next write of F. As Q is pointing to null, we come out of the inner while loop. Also, as P does not have left and right child, we call the getNextWrite function with P passed as parameter. So in the getNextWrite function, P will point to D. Temp will now point to D which is D's next write. As temp's left and right child are both null, we make temp point to temp's next write. Hence temp will point to F. As F does not have left and right child, so temp will point to F's next write which is null. As temp is pointing to null, we come out of the while loop and return null. So in the connect function, P will point to null. As both P and Q are pointing to null, we finish execution for this program and we have connected nodes at same level. With this, we come to an end of this tutorial. For any doubts or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.